And welcome to yet another edition of Ben's Junk, the show that loves you right back, whether you like it or not. And today we have a special guest here. Due to my very cramped quarters right now, I have my old friend, the M-Box 2. And if you were ever wondering what I use to record my microphones with, this is it. And you can see the edge of my computer just at the very, very edge of the shot here. And so this is running to the computer to Pro Tools right now. And then I take my film and resync the audio. So someday I'll have to do a proper thing on how I actually make stuff and how I transfer stuff. But that's not what we're here for today. Today we are here to discuss my Sears Super 8 sound film projector. And as far as I know, Sears never actually made any electronics. They just bought them up in bulk from various other companies and rebranded them. So I think this is actually a Bell & Howell that Sears just stuck its name on. And I did a little snooping around, and they made this particular model, the Sears Sound 2 9258, I believe, from 1967 to 1970. There's no date on any of this stuff, so my guess is law of averages would say that it was somewhere in the middle, so 1968-69. And this thing's got some water damage to the box, and it was not stored very well, but I have fixed it up. It is in good working order now. And I guess let's just dig in a little bit here. So if I pull out the top styrofoam, whoever owned this before me kept this somewhere very, very dirty, very hot, and kept stuff on top of it to boot. So when I got this, the cord was just strewn about, and you can see how it dug itself into the styrofoam here. And you can even see the end. And the whole thing was just terrible. I pulled up the cord and all the styrofoam was caked on, and so I had to spend what took me a couple hours trying to clean it off and trying to make it usable and not sticky and not disgusting anymore. And down here, just in case you're curious, serious, splice block and a pipe cleaner that should probably get thrown away. It's got a lot of rust and junk on it. And just little stray bits of plastic and stuff that I didn't know what to do with. So, anyway, there you go. Now, I wasn't even really looking for one of these things. I mean, I've always looked for projectors, just not actively. At least not since I was a teenager. And so when I saw this in the Goodwill, I paid the princely sum of $13 for this thing. I, of course, snapped it right up, and it looked like it was in mostly working order. Of course, true to form, I spent more on parts for this thing, and I've never owned any Super 8 sound reels before, so I had to find one of those, and so that cost money. So, of course, I spent more in just stuff to fix it up and test it and everything. Isn't that always the way it goes? But anyway, I have my sole Super 8mm sound reel here. And there's no significance to it. I know you're going to take one look at it and go, yeah, Ben would have that. But it really wasn't the idea. It was just the cheapest thing on eBay with the buy it now option. So it's a highlight reel from a Godfather ripoff called The Don is Dead from 1973 or 74. And it's a Portuguese dub of it, so I don't understand any of it. But yeah, I know it looks like something that Benny Boy would have in his collection, doesn't it? But up until that point, I only owned... I've had and still have a Super 8 silent projector lying around, but I've only ever owned one reel for it, and this is it. It's one of the Black Hawk Films Preview 8 reels for silent films that they used to sell up until the 80s, I believe. And this reel is from the late 60s. And these things were just dirt cheap back when I was a teenager. I think I picked this up in the early 2000s, and I think I paid $6 after shipping. I looked at it. I was going to try and find one in better shape than this one now, because this has some splices and stuff in it. And nowadays they're going for like 15 plus. So you gotta love it when the collector's market takes hold. And this is totally unrelated, but I found one of my old standard 8 silent reels, and I thought I'd just show this to you. I've had this since I got my first projector in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's The Three Stooges, a edited version of Spooks, which they made 2 movies in 3D. This is one of them. This is not in 3D, and it's silent to boot, but I just thought it was kind of cool, and I did not pay much for this back then. I think I paid $4 or $5 for it, and something tells me the collector's market's probably grown for that too, but I haven't looked. Anyway, let's have old Benny Boy shut up here. We'll move all my equipment, and we'll finally take a look at this thing, and maybe we can get in a demo. Alright, and here we are in one of those magic situations where I have to physically handle the camcorder. And I have the front taken off of the projector here. And the reason for that is I thought maybe, largely for the benefit of some of our younger viewers, they'd like to see how the film actually gets threaded. This is an automatic one, so it's not like I have to totally do it myself. My standard 8 one, I have to hold a button down, which will run through, and then as soon as it pops out the back, I let go. But this one does it all by itself, which is all well and good, except I have to be quick enough on the trigger to turn it off so it doesn't just keep going and going and going and going. And this is also admittedly one of our more ghetto setups. I've got a bed sheet in the background here. Hopefully we can get something projected on that here. I don't have a way to telescene any of my stuff. And I've seen things in the thrift store for it, but they're always like $40-$50, and they only work with VHS, and I'm kind of like, I think I'd like something a little more modern and something I can color correct and not have to worry about tape artifacts and all that. So anyway, let's take a little cut here, and hopefully I can find a decent angle, and hopefully we can watch the film pass through. Alright, so let's thread this thing up. This is a fully automatic threader sometimes. Let's see if I can actually get it to latch on into the take-up reel properly this time. And for those unfamiliar, sometimes the reels have to be clamped down. Like this one, it's got a little metal thing and little grooves for it to fit into. Yeah, it's not really being picked up by the camcorder, but what you gonna do? And I've got my reel here. This could be awkward since I can't see what I'm doing and operate the camera. Alright, I got that clamped down. Got a little film going there. Let's see if I can make this actually happen properly. So let's set it to thread. Take your film, stick it in. There it goes. Let's hope for the best. There it comes. And it took it. Alright. Let's watch some movies.
A comissão não está gostando do que está acontecendo.
Quer falar com você. Mande falar com Tony Fardo. Ele é só um peão. Frank é quem faz o jogo. Quem é essa? Tony das ordens.